Hello everyone, in this tutorial we're going to configure a production-ready Node.js environment on a single Ubuntu server. The setup will include the deployment of a Node.js application managed by the PM2 package. In this tutorial, we assume that you have already set up and configured an Ubuntu server with a public IP address and also an Nginx server installed and configured into that Ubuntu server. We have already covered these two prerequisites in our recent videos. Please check the link in the description below. In our case, we're going to use a virtual machine with an Ubuntu 24.04 server set up under Microsoft Azure. So in this tutorial, we're going to cover how to create a Node.js application, how to install Node.js, install the PM2 package, and install the essential package to run Node.js application. And we're going to build and deploy a Node.js application under the Node.js server, then configure the Nginx that is already installed to become a proxy server to transfer our users' request to the Node.js server. And all that under Ubuntu 24.04 server version. As I mentioned earlier, in this video, we are going to use a virtual machine that is set up under Microsoft Azure, and we're going to connect to it using the Azure CLI through SSH. So I already configured that virtual machine and installed the Nginx server. We covered all these in our recent videos. Please check out the description to see the links. Now, we are going to install Node.js. To install Node.js, all you have to do is, you can install it through different ways, but the easiest is to go to deb.nodesource.com, and there you're going to select the version, or you're going to install the latest version if you would, so that you will be provided with the instruction or the command line that you're going to use to install the latest version of Node.js. So to do so, you just need to copy this, then go to your virtual machine or your Ubuntu server, then paste. Going to run that. It is going to download the necessary package to install the Node.js server. So now it's done. We're going to launch the setup. To do so, you just say sudo apt-get install Node.js. Wait for it to install. It might take some time. Now our Node.js is installed. We can check that it's the case by just typing node version. Now we have version 20.16.0, which is the latest stable version that is available there. The Node.js package contains the Node.js binary as well as the npm, which is a package manager for Node modules. So we do not need to install the npm separately. So npm uses configuration file in our home directory to keep track of updates. It will be created the first time when you run npm. So we're going to execute the following command to determine the npm version. So our npm version is 10.8.1. In order for some packages to work, you will need to install the build essentials package. And to do so, you just need to say sudo apt install build essentials or build essential. You're going to confirm. So now our build essential is installed. We now have the necessary tools to work with npm packages that require compiling code from source. With the Node.js runtime installed, let's move on to writing a Node.js or our first Node.js application. So let's write a hello world application that returns hello world for any or to any HTTP requests. This example, the sample application will help you get Node.js set up. You can replace it with your own application. Just make sure that you modify your application to listen on the appropriate IP addresses and ports. First, let's create a simple application called Hello World. So we're going to go to the home folder, then nano server.js code. Then we're going to start building our application. So we're going to say console const http require http. Then our host name is going to be localhost. After that, we need to set up the port 3000. Then we're going to start our server or create our server. Const server is equal to http dot create server request response rest dot status code equal to 200 for success. Then we're going to set the header. Content type text plain. And we're going to return our hello world. Now we're going to tell the server to start listening at the port and host name. To do so, we just say server listen. Then we supply the port that we already set up there and the host name. After that, it's a function or a callback. We are going to console log that the server is actually running. So console log server is running at http we can supply the host name. By doing so, I'm going to say http, then it's my host name colon the port. That's it. And we're going to close the callback and the listen function. Now it's ready to be started. So we're going to use the node server to run it. Node server.js. Now our application is running under the local host at that port. We are just going to open a new terminal and see if we can curl that location. To do so, you just need to go and click again here to select and then continue. Open new shell or cloud shell. You just say continue. Then here we're going to curl. First we clear the screen and then we curl the local host and see if it serves the application that we have done already. 3000. Now as you can see, my application Hello World is already there. Now that our Node.js application is up and running, we can go ahead and install the PM2 package manager or process manager. So the PM2 is a process manager for Node.js application that makes it possible to dehumanize applications so that they will run in the background as a service. To install PM2, we just need to use npm sudo npm install. Then we're going to say PM2 at latest. Then we're going to supply the G for global. We'll wait for it to install the package. So now that our PM2 package is installed, we're going to use it to start our Node.js application. To do so, we are just going to make sure that we are at the home page or the home folder. We're going to say PM2 start server.js. So now our servers.js or our server application is already running and it's online. We can always say curl HTTP localhost and then the port. Oh, we made a mistake there. So it's curl HTTP localhost port number. As you can see, our application is running without Node involved. So it's the PM2 that is making sure that the application is dehumanized already and that can run in the background. And the process of starting an application in PM2 also adds it to PM2's process list, which is outputted every time you start an application. So whenever you start an application, you will see it here. You can always list the applications that are run by the PM2 package by typing PM2 list. As you can see, you have all those applications running. So for our case, we have only one application, which is our default application called server. As you can see, PM2 automatically assigns an app name to our application, which is the file name, obviously, and an ID. So the ID is 0 in our case. PM2 also maintains other information such as the PID, which is the process ID, the current status, the memory usage, and so on. Applications that are running under PM2 will be restarted automatically if the application crashes or is killed, but we can take an additional step to get the application to launch on system startup using the startup subcommand, if you would. The startup subcommand generates and configures a startup script to launch PM2 and its managed processes on server boots. Now that our PM2 is able to run our Node.js application, we're going to go to the next step, which is configuring the Nginx server as a reverse proxy server. So my application is running under the local host, but we need to access it from outside, or we need our users to access the application from public internet. To do so, we just need to install or set up the Nginx web server as a reverse proxy. To do so, we're going to configure our Nginx to point to the Node.js application. So we're going to navigate to the etc Nginx sites available. And we're going to list all the available sites. So for us, we don't have a domain name, so it will just have the default. We're going to edit the configuration so that we point our server to the Node.js server. To do so, you just need to open that default site, sudo nano default. Then we're going to alter the location configuration here, which is this section here. So we're going to change the configuration at this level. So we have the configuration as follow. So we're going to point the application or the server to point to that HTTP localhost 3000, which is our application where our application is running, and we're going to have some configuration there that you can check online how to do or to build a reverse proxy using Nginx. Now we are ready to save the file. So our server right now is configured to respond to requests as it's at its root, assuming that our server is available at the IP address of the server. Accessing the IP address via the web browser would send the request to the applications. After editing the file, we can just make sure that what we have typed is already valid, and to do so you just run the nginx t to validate the file. So all configuration is okay. Now we're going to restart the server so that we take into consideration our configuration. System control restart Nginx. So now our Nginx is restarted, so we can check that the server is actually pointing to the Node.js application by just refreshing the page. And as you can see, the Hello World application is already, or our Nginx is serving that Node.js application. So our Nginx is actually the reverse proxy server that points to the Node.js server, which runs this default application, if you would. So we can make some updates to the file of the application, of course. So we're going just to do cd root, then nano server.js, and we're going to make some changes here. So hello world from Node.js behind Nginx proxy server. We're going to save that. Now we're going to restart our application using the PM2 package. And to do so, you just say restart our application name. So the application is already PM2 list. To check the application, so it's called server. So we're going to say nano restart server. Sorry. So it's PM2 restart server. So our application is running. We can just check that the modification is taken into consideration. So you can see that hello world from Node.js is already there. That's it for this tutorial. Thank you so much, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you.